Alright, we're doing some HW97 pistons buttoning, and we're also buttoning the compression tubes, and we're going to sun and hone the ID of the tube to get them perfectly straight. Anyway, hope you enjoy. Alright, when you're buttoning a 97 piston, you do not want buttons anywhere here back on the back of the piston where it actually escapes being captured inside the tube. If you button back here, you know, it would be supported if the piston is in the unfired position. But once you go back and cock it against the trigger and you pull the compression tube forward, all this is exposed. You press fit buttons, even if they're glued. You know, I've seen them where the buttons could pop out. It's not that common, but you know, not that many people button them back here because they're completely unsupported. I want to make sure the buttons stay captured in the compression tube. So if you look right here, you see, okay, you see where I was pulling that back? You've got a cocking lever that is always keyed into this compression tube. So right there, you know at that point, the I got the wrong pin. You know at that point that it's not going to come back any further than that. So yeah, talking with my mouth full. So I know my buttons need to stay in front of that line. These pistons are a little bit irregular size, so I've made this little bushing to slide over. And I slide it right up to that line. Now slip my collet over it. I use a 27mm collet. And just slip it right up to that line. That way when I put it in there, I can line everything up and get it, and I know my buttons are going to be where they need to be without any risk of them being knocked off. Alright, that is 0, and I want the button to be on top. What I'm going to do, back this up, roll it over to 90. That will allow me to place my square on this cocking slot. I'm sure my hand's blocking some of this. Alright, back this up that way when we come back to 0. We are straight up and down. Drop my knee down, make sure I got clearance so I don't hit the spindle when it comes down. The piston may have to move out slightly in order for me to get that where I want it. That'll drop the cutter down. No, it's not going to clear. I'll probably just drop the cutter down. The pistons inside the 97s are not hardened, and they don't really need to be. All the pressure is on the compression tube. When you go to cock, that's where the cocking lever is attached. Alright, what I am doing is I'm just gonna eyeball. Eyeball the edge of that cutter. Yeah, right now we are right about on the side of it. That is a 3/16 cutter. And I believe that piston body 25.5 was best to double check. About 10,000ths over an inch. So that's 505. Two, three, 4, 505 thousandths. Now, 0.1875 divided by 2. Yeah, 3/32. 9375. Zero it again. Go over 9375. Well, boom, 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 84, 85, 86, 87, 93.8, which is close enough. This over just a little bit more. Okay, we're ready to go. Should have set this up where the indexer is facing the other way. I got a little bit better light on this side. tube 130 degrees. I'll come back to 130. Directly opposite the cocking spot. All right. Brush. This piston's out of HW97. This piston is never really under any pressure from the cocking lever. It is being pushed forward by the spring, and all the spring pressure is directly, if you look real close here, you can see there's a if you look real closely here, you can see there's a two-piece arrangement here. You have a tube that is put over a head that is machined to take the piston seal, and you'll see it's crimped. And if you get all the way over here, you see it's also pinned. That pin goes all the way down into the stem, which comes out the back, and that's what holds onto the trigger unit. So when your gun is completely cocked, this stem is holding the spring against this head here. Now, on a barrel cocking gun, the cocking lever would be in contact with this tube right at the back, and it would be what's actually bringing this whole thing home. Your spring would be exerting pressure on the head. Now, you look at these crimps. Those crimps are what keep this tube from pulling off. You also have that pin in it, right there. You have that pin in it as a backup, but you don't want the body of this piston to come loose from that head. And on a barrel cocking gun, I've seen people put buttons right inside these crimps or right in the front, trying to get them real far forward. You don't want to weaken any of this metal in front of this crimp, because that's what's holding it. When it's pulling back, it's pulling back that way. You know, back here, it's not that big a deal, but if you put one in that crimp or in front of the crimp, you're actually compromising its ability to stay in place. So, you know, that's just, for what it's worth, you button a piston, don't get on the crimps on a barrel cocking gun. It's just never a good idea, even if there isn't a lot of pressure on this tube. You just don't want to weaken that connection. This, on the 97, the only purpose this serves is to basically eliminate any metal-to-metal contact, but and it keeps the piston, once it's sized on the lathe, it's absolutely perfectly centered. And your piston seal in the front is also centered in the tube. If your tube is absolutely perfectly straight, you can get away with a little bit thinner sealing edge if your piston isn't, doing all this business. If you have a tube that has not been precision honed, it's less likely for you to be able to get away with that. If you got a absolutely perfectly fitted seal and there's a very thin sealing edge, or the seal is a little bit harder material than what you would use on a tube that is out of round, you want a lip, you want a parachute so it can kind of flex and seal. If you've got an absolutely perfect tube, that's not near as critical to have that parachute. So you can go with a little bit harder seal. You can make it a little bit looser fit without all the problems that are associated with loose fitting seals. You know, if a tube's out of round and you got a loose fitting seal, then you get all this hammering and dry firing, and the pistons, scopes coming loose, screws constantly working loose. Anyway, next we'll just move on to the buttoning the compression tube and doing the honing on the compression tube. That's it's probably going to be more interesting than this.